If you get too far behind in a mile and a half, you'll never catch up.
Hey, watch the inside. We've got one in here.
A lot of people think going a mile and a half, you got to come from way out of it and make this big run. But if you really watch the Belmonts, most of your horses that won were pretty close to the pace.
Basically, you try to see traps in front of you or horses that you know diminish towards the end part of a race that don't have any finish left. You don't want to be behind what a jockey would call a dead horse.
Either your horses can make the distance or you can't make the distance. I mean, I'm going to be there trying to control him to get him that distance. What I fear is the other 10. They think they can do the same thing.
Two horses will be battling it out for $1 million bonus today. One is Sea Hero, winner of the Kentucky Derby, but a disappointing 5th in the Preakness Stakes. Prairie Bayou was second in the Derby, then won the Preakness. He's been first or second in each of his last 10 races. But 11 others will be racing in this classic today, and you can make a case for most of them. Is that the shadow of a champion we see? And if so, what's his name? Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. Cold, windy afternoon where it began to rain about 45 minutes ago and has been raining steadily ever since. That will be a factor in the race. A big field of 13 is ready for the big race. El Bacan was scratched this morning because of a fever. This is the largest field since 15 ran in 1983, caveat year. It's the third largest Belmont field in 125 runnings of the race. Still, the focus is on two horses here. The Derby winner, Sea Hero, who should really like this track now, and Preakness champion, Prairie Bayou. Assuming they both finish the race, one of them will win the $1 million bonus in the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge. The Belmont, you know, is to horse racing what the Indianapolis 500 is to motor racing. The longest race on the biggest track. But instead of 200 laps, it's just one time around. However, that one time can seem an eternity to a horse who isn't up to the distance. We'll be talking about the other entrants in the Belmont. Cherokee Run and Virginia Rapids come to mind immediately. But before the Belmont, we'll be seeing another race in the American Championship Racing Series for older horses, the Nassau County Handicap. For the full story on that, let's go up above to a bone-dry, undercover Hal Michaels. Hal?
Bone dry and very frosty, Jim. When did June turn into March? It's very cold. Well, we've got a highly competitive race. This is part of what is known as the American Championship Racing Series. It's the 5th of 9 races. The purse for the Nassau County Handicap alone is $400,000, and there's a $1.2 million bonus pool to be distributed at the end of the series. It's also a unique race because it's a mile and an eighth, but around just one turn. Points are distributed thusly in the series: 10 for first, 7 for second, 5 for third, and so on. In the standings, after 4 of the 9 races, the last was the Pimlico Special, Devil His Due, who's won 2 of the 4 races, has 21 points. He's in the field today, but Pistols and Roses is taking a pass today. He's in second place with 20. Missionary Ridge is in this field. He has 15 points. Latin American with 10, who won the Californian, is taking a pass. We have a field of 8. We have 4 4-year-olds, 3 5-year-olds, and a 6-year-old. It's a handicap race, so weights are assigned. Sand Lizard got in at 109, but his rider, Mike Smith, came in at 112, so he's 3 pounds over, and he is 16-1. Devil His Due is the favorite. He's also the high weight, as you see, carrying 123 pounds. Along with Herb McCauley, he's 9-5. Strike the Gold won the Kentucky Derby in 1991. They love him in New York. The 5-year-old is 7-2. Valley Crossing was second in the Pimlico Special 3 weeks back. He is 15-1. Then there's number 5, Offbeat, carrying 112 at odds of 14-1. Missionary Ridge, the venerable 6-year-old, 117 pounds, is in post, 5-2. Honest Ensign is the longest shot in the field at 29-1. And starting from the outside, West by West, a horse who's won over $400,000. He's being held at odds of 9-2. And for more on the field, let's go back to Jim,
where it is a torrential rain at the moment. Here's Charles E. Canty. Charles, a mile and an eighth around one turn. What's that going to do to the pace?
Well, turns rate the speed, and in this race there's a 5/8 of a mile straight away from the gate. So with all that daylight, the horses will be keen, and the sharpest away from there will be Missionary Ridge. Though he hasn't won a race yet this year, his races have been very good, and he'll be tough to run down in the stretch. And then there's Strike the Gold, who's winner of last year's Nassau County, but he has not won a stakes race since. But He never fired in the Pimlico Special last time out, but don't ever count him out. Then there's Sand Lizard. He's the most lightly raced and the most lightly weighted because he's still looking for his first stakes victory, and he'll probably be pretty close to the pace. Then we have the big horse, Devil Is Due, trying to make it 4 in a row. He's matured into a much improved 4-year-old, and he's also benefited from wearing some intriguing new shoes called turndowns, and Missionary Ridge will be wearing them in this race too.
Well, Charlesy, what do you think? Strange weather, who do you think's going to win?
Always a chance for an upset. I like West by West because he's undefeated here at Belmont, and he really loves it when it's wet.
In this weather, I'll take Strike the Gold. Well, you know, Alan Jerkins, the trainer of Devil Is Due, is a quiet man, a mystery to some people. He's been called the giant killer, a man to watch out for. But one thing you can be sure of, he never, ever enters a race he doesn't think he can win. In fact, he won the first race he entered as a trainer, but things weren't always easy. He started as a groom for his father with horses bought for $50 or $75. Belmont was a dream.
When you're starting out and you do win a race, even if it's the cheap claiming race, and you come to Belmont, because we were never stabled here when I first came around, and we were in awe of Belmont, and when we could win here was extra special.
30 years ago, his Beau Purple beat the great Kelso 3 times, and he defeated Secretariat, yes, Secretariat, twice. At age 45, Alan Jerkins was the youngest trainer ever elected to Racing's Hall of Fame, and this weekend could be the greatest of his life. He could win the Nassau County Handicap in a few minutes, the Mother Goose tomorrow, and today he's entered a horse in the Belmont for the first time. Why never before?
The 3-year-olds that do good, and the ones who make it to the Triple Crown are the ones who can take the training, have the class, and still around when the big races come up. And it's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Well, he's worked hard with Virginia Rapids. Here the horse is winning at Gulfstream last winter. An injury made him miss the Derby, but 13 days ago, he was back in form, winning the Peter Pan Stakes on this track and marking himself as one of today's favorites. With Devil Is Due, Jerkins goes for his 5th win in the Nassau County Handicap, and the horse could win his 4th race in a row. This weekend, the giant killer may become a giant. How would he feel about that?
I'd feel as good as you can feel, that's for sure. I feel that I accomplished it, and I didn't do it all by myself, but I will feel very gratified, that's for sure.
Obviously feeling very emotional about it. There on the left is the owner of Devil Is Due, Edith LeBout, and to her right, Elizabeth Jerkins, the wife of the trainer. We'll be right back.
Favorite, I'm joined by the great jockey Steve Coffin. What about jockey strategy in a very unique race, a 1-turn mile and 1/8?
Well, this is definitely a jockey's race, and today the jockey to keep your eye on is Herb McCauley on Devil Is Due. Now, he's got a tricky situation on his hands. On the one hand, he can't afford to let Missionary Ridge set a slow pace, because if he does, they're never going to catch him. And on the other hand, he doesn't want to get involved in a speed duel with him, or else they're just going to set the race up for a horse like Strike the Gold, and his judgment is going to be very important.
Who do you think will win?
I'm going to pick Devil Is Due.
I'm going to pick West by West. Bobby Frankel, who is from New York originally, but has made his mark for years, a great trainer in California, has come back with Missionary Ridge. And as you look at Bobby, his horse, Steve mentioned, figures to go right to the front, might have to wire the field, and we'll find out if he can do it. Right now, as the horses load, and we go up to Dave Johnson for the call.
And there's Missionary Ridge, who has a lot of early speed. The track is still labeled fast. It's been raining heavily. Honest Ensign is in, and the only horse wearing blinkers is West by West. Ran the race of his life last out when he took an allowance race here on May 13th. That Jean-Luc Samin riding West by West. A field of 8 in the Nassau County Handicap. They're now all in line. We're ready for the start. And they're off. Toward the inside, Devil Is Due on the outside, Honest Ensign. Those two up early. West by West is right there in third between horses. That's Valley Crossing at the rail. Here comes Sand Lizard gaining. Then comes Missionary Ridge, who is void of his early speed. Offbeat is next, and as usual, Strike the Gold is 8th and last, 10 lengths from the lead. Honest Ensign with the white cap on the outside leads it. On the inside, Here comes Devil His Due. West by West is right there third. Those three tightly packed, two back. Sand Lizard is racing fourth by a head. Then Valley Crossing, closer than usual, fifth on the outside. A gap of three, offbeat, Missionary Ridge, and still far back the trailer, Strike the Gold, who won this race last year. They're heading for the far turn, and it's Honest Ensign in front. Reached the half in 46 and 2, being dogged by West on the outside, and Devil His Due along the inside is right there and gaining. Then Sand Lizard. On the outside, here comes Strike the Gold in the yellow cap, and he's flying. Moving out of the top of the stretch, Honest Ensign has the lead by a head. West by West on the outside. Devil His Due in some tight quarters. Now he looks for some racing room. Valley Crossing is 3 off the rail, and 4 off the rail is Strike the Gold. They're at the head of the stretch, and West by West takes command. Valley Crossing in second. On the inside, Honest Ensign drops back. Now Devil His Due finds a little racing room, and Strike the Gold in the middle of the racetrack is flying, and down the stretch they come. West by West has the lead. In front by a length. On the outside, Strike the Gold. Between them, it's Valley Crossing. Here's the finish. 3 of them to the wire on the Nassau County. West by a tight length. Then on the outside, it was Valley Crossing second. Strike the Gold finished third. At 4-1, West by West, ridden by Jean-Luc Samin, comes home in 1:47 and 2/5 seconds. That's 1 second off the track record. So West by West, who graduated into this class this afternoon in Grade 1 company, ran a big race, winning the allowance race at Belmont Park, and the happy connections of West by West coming down to the winner's circle.
West by West now a perfect 5 for 5 at Belmont, winning the first ACRS race that he's ever entered. He's won 4 out of his last 6. Trainer Rusty Arnold won this race back in 1990 with Tricky Creek, but it's West by West, and Charles, he had that one. Winner of the Nassau County Handicap. Here's Devil His Due. Couldn't do it today. Again, it's unofficial, but Valley Crossing was second, and Strike the Gold, although coming in the stretch, couldn't make it. Still to come, the biggest race of this weekend, the Belmont Stakes. Again, unofficially, West by West, Valley Crossing up from Maryland, and Strike the Gold. Right back.
Well, the Nassau County was a handicap, which means the horses were assigned weight according to their accomplishments. Devil His Due paid the price by being 123-pound top weight. And Herb McCauley, you were aboard him. Did the weight have an effect?
Well, we gave the winner 9 pounds, and I think when you're running handicap races like this, they put the weight on the horses to even the horses up. And, you know, my horses run 3 tremendous races this year. They put the package on him today. And he ran this race, but he didn't run to his full potential, and he came back good. So we just have to take this race and throw it out. And I know I got a really great horse here, so I just have to go forward.
Okay, Herb McCauley, thanks very much. We go to Al.
Okay, Charlesy, and West by West, who started from the outside post 8, makes it 5 for 5 over the Belmont Strip. Goes off at 4-1 and pays 10.46.40 and 3.80. Valley Crossing, another game performance for him in the American Championship Racing Series, 9.60 and 5.20. And Strike the Gold pays $4 to show the 8-4 exacta, 131.80, and the triple paying $748. Dave, we're going to pick it up as they turn for home. They are at about the 5/16 pole. The early speed, surprisingly, was not Missionary Ridge, but Honest Ensign, and he was stalked all the way by West number 8.
And West by West, when he gets the lead, he simply doesn't look back. That heavy package carried by Devil His Due right there. Here is the one horse, the long shot, Sand Lizard. But at this point, Honest Ensign with Jose Santos was trying to take it, but West by West, who is the now horse in this race, inches up alongside and showed the same speed that he did in allowance class. Here's a big move by Valley Crossing, and here's Strike the Gold in the yellow cap on the outside. At the top of the stretch, 4 of them across the track, and Devil His Due looking for some racing room. But as they turn for home, here is the eventual winner with the blinkers, the only horse wearing the blinkers, gets to the front. Valley Crossing with his customary late charge. And here comes Strike the Gold, a little too late, losing a lot of ground. Devil His Due on the inside with the black cap, comes on to the 16th pole, but then drops out of it. And West by West comes home and to the winner's circle in 1:47.2.
Jean-Luc Semine, 38-year-old native of France. He's been a grass specialist through the years, a regular rider here at Belmont Park, and he wins the Nassau County Handicap. Let's go to Charles here again.
He'll enter Jackson right now. Rather be back here than watching the replay. You're exactly right.
Hello, here we are we've got Rusty Arnold, who is the trainer of West by West, and Jean-Luc Semine, who rode the winner. And Rusty, this colt has never been beaten here, and he loves this wet racetrack.
He loves Belmont. He hasn't lost a race here, and he loves a little wet, so he got it both today.
And Jean-Luc, that was one of the most confident rides I think I've ever seen at the half-mile pole. You were just sitting there having a nice gallop. You looked a winner there.
Yes, you're right. I'm at the half-mile pole going to the 384. I'm just enjoying every minute of it because I was going extremely well. I'm just waiting for somebody to come next to me for letting him doing this thing, you know, which he did very well. I just want to mention that Rusty really did a great job bringing him to the races. I mean, the last worker going 5.8 and 59.4, that they couldn't have been any better.
A good job on both your parts. Congratulations, and back to Al Michaels.
Okay, Charlesy, so 8 horses went postward, and here's the way they wound it up with West by West on top. Valley Crossing, who finished second in the Pimlico Special, to Devil Is Due, another second-place performance. Strike the Gold winds up third. Then Devil Is Due, Missionary Ridge. Offbeat winds up sixth. Honest Ensign, who set the early fractions, faded to seventh, and Sand Lizard finished last. Devil Is Due adds a few more points to his total, so after 5 of the 9 races in the American Championship Racing Series, he still has the lead. Pistols and Roses not here today with 20. Missionary Ridge picked up a point with the 5th place finish at 16. And Valley Crossing now very much in the hunt with $1.2 million in bonus money at stake. Okay, so that's the Nassau County Handicap, and now on to the main event, the Belmont Stakes, the 125th running. It's been a pretty mediocre year, as most of you who follow this sport know, for 3-year-olds. So Sea Hero really didn't scare anybody away. We had a big field in the Preakness. And then Prairie Bayou hasn't scared anyone away. We originally had 14 horses set to go postward today because of the scratch of El Bacan this morning. We'll go with 13. And what about the Belmont? Well, the bettors in New York are very, very savvy. Normally in racing, the favorites win about a third of the time. But in the long history of this great classic, the favorite has won an astonishing 46% of the time in the Belmont. Let's take a look now at this 13-horse field. Cherokee Run has good speed, and that's just where you want to be if you have a speed horse on the rail. He's 4-1. Virginia Rapids, who looked good here and winning the Peter Pan a couple of weeks ago, is 4-1. Kiss and Chris, who ran in the Derby and skipped the Preakness, is 11-1. Colonial Affair with Julie Krone up at 14-1. At the moment, the favorite is Prairie Bayou, the most consistent 3-year-old around, at 5-2. Bull in the Heather, who turned in a clunker in Kentucky after winning the Florida Derby, is 17-1. Raglan Road comes up from Maryland. He is 39-1. Number 8 is El Bacan. He is scratched, so all of the other horses will move in one post position. Aaron Thought is a French import, has never raced in the U.S., has never raced on dirt. He's 13-1. Only Alpha is the longest shot in the field. He is 65-1. Sea Hero, the Kentucky Derby winner, has just dropped from 4-1. The last click taking him now to 7-2. Silver of Silver is 27-1. Antrim Road won the Illinois Derby at 50-1. And Wild Gael starts on the outside at 44-1. Wild Gael was third in the Kentucky Derby. Now, as far as bonus points in the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge are concerned, 10 points for first, 5 for second, 3 for third, 1 for fourth. A horse must start and finish all 3 of the Triple Crown races to be eligible. Thus, only those 3 could win the bonus. And really, it's a 2-horse race. Prairie Bayou has the lead. If he finishes in front of Sea Hero, he will win the $1 million bonus. And if he does win it, that $1 million check will be written out to Lob Lolly Stable. And in the world of business, it is a most unusual partnership. Prairie Bayou's win 3 weeks ago marked the 2nd straight Preakness victory for Lob Lolly. Pine Bluff took part owner John Ed Anthony to the winner's circle last year. The other part owner is John Ed's ex-wife.
I've been called the invisible, mysterious half owner of Lob Lolly, and not mysterious or invisible either. I'm right where I've always been. I try to back John Ed up in all his decisions, and he has been the managing partner. But it's another little family joke that John Ed's name is always on the program, and after it is et al., which has been turned around in our family to read et al., and I'm known as Al.
As a married couple in 1980, the Anthonys celebrated a victory in the Belmont when Temperance Hill took them to the winner's circle. 7 years later, they divorced, but the split didn't extend to the operation of the stable.
It was a natural economic decision based upon emotions, I imagine. There was a lot of emotion involved. No one wanted to see the stable broken up. I didn't want to see it torn apart, and neither did she. So it's worked well.
And, you know, you can try something, and if it doesn't work, you can always undo it. So that was the option. I think we always knew that we had an out if it didn't work. And we have both remarried and have built totally separate lives, but we do still do this together.
John Ed, on behalf of Chrysler and its dealers, I'd like to award you $1 million as this year's winner of the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge.
If we had not won the $1 million bonus with Pine Bluff, we would have had a staggering loss. There are fewer owners today than there were before, therefore fewer horses racing, therefore fewer people interested from that side of the business. Plus, of course, the entertainment and the wagering dollar is spread a lot thinner.
Our greatest hope for Loblolly is that there will always be a Loblolly, whether it be in our children's hands or our grandchildren's hands. That I feel like we've built something and we have preserved it, and I hope that it would continue in some form. But I would hope that our children could work together as well as their father and I have.
And there is Mary Lynn Dudley as the rain continues to fall harder and harder here. The track, however, at least at the moment, is still listed as fast for the Belmont Stakes. We'll be back. Normally on the 5th of June, we'd have about 3.5 hours left of daylight here. It's dark, rainy, cold, windy. Not as bright as it appears on your television screen. Could be a good day, however, for Paul Mellon, the octogenarian owner of Sea Hero, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, who likes this kind of weather. There's Paul Mellon in the stands. Charles, he talked to the trainer, Mac Miller, just before the rain began.
Mac, before the Preakness, you and Jerry Bailey were both concerned Sea Hero wouldn't get hold of the racetrack, and your worst fears were confirmed. Now you're back here on a track that he's proven he can win over, but I think you'd like to see a little rain, wouldn't you?
The rain is very important to him, I think. He likes to go right to the bottom and get good traction. And if we get some moisture, that's precisely what will happen. I look for a good race. I think being on the home court is important.
Well, he has one here, and he's also as suited for the 1.5 miles as any horse in the race. That's got to give you a lot of confidence.
Yes, he has a marvelous pedigree. Nothing but black type in 3 generations back. All of it, most of it's long, and that's really in my favor.
Also, he's done well physically. They say that since the 3 weeks from the Preakness that he's really sort of filled out and made up for what he lost through the Derby.
That's very true. The Preakness really knocked the dickens out of him. I think 2 weeks, 2 races in 14 days hurt. But he's come around awfully well now. He gets to graze twice a day, and he's really tearing the barn down.
All right, Mac Miller, best of luck with Sea Hero this afternoon. We go back to Jim McKay.
Thank you.
He's getting the rain he wants. 20 years ago, Secretariat flew to victory by 31.5 lengths in this race as our Dave Johnson called the race at the track. A remarkable win, perhaps the most remarkable of all time. Look at the distance. Well, this week his connections got together again. Owner Penny Tweedy, trainer Lucian Lauren, and the rider Ron Turcotte. Dave Johnson earlier talked...
40 to 45,000 on hand today at this venerable institution. Been a pretty good year, though, for New York racing, all things considered. This is what would be regarded as Sea Hero's home track. And Prairie Bayou has spent a lot of time here. And Jerry Bailey, who won the Kentucky Derby, is a regular rider at Belmont, as would be Prairie Bayou's rider, Mike Smith. So post time right now, 24 minutes away, and let's go to Charles C. Canty.
Well, Al, even the most casual racing viewer has heard a trainer excuse a horse's poor performance by saying he just didn't get hold of the racetrack. And that's not just an empty excuse. It's a real problem, and some horsemen are going to innovative extremes to help their horses get a grip. athletes depend on traction to perform their best, and it's no different with thoroughbreds. Racetrack surfaces vary in composition, from the firm going at Churchill Downs to the looser surface at Belmont Park. And not every horse takes to every track. Witness Sea Heroes struggling in the Preakness. So what's the answer? Traction is the key, and the shoe provides it. Shod once a month at an average cost of $75, the racehorse has many options in the footwear department. The aluminum racing plate on the left is standard gear, but add a cleat or a mud caulk and you eliminate slippage. And now for the latest rage.
Put your dancing shoes on.
These equine high heels are called turndowns. The back of the shoe is bent at an angle to provide even more traction over New York's looser, sandier surface. Turndowns have definitely improved some horses' performances, but so far their powers seem to fall well short of magical. All right, we have just gotten word now about the shoes for the horses who are running in the Belmont Stakes. Virginia Rapids will be running in turndowns. He will also be running in mud caulks and jar caulks in front, and that's called being in four-wheel drive. Colonial Affair will be running in turndowns. Only Alpha will be running in mud caulks, and Sea Hero will be running in mud caulks, which is what he wore when he won the Kentucky Derby. Al?
All right, Chauncey, and we have 22 minutes remaining before the running of the Belmont, and ready for action today as he tries to duplicate his victory in the Kentucky Derby. Let's take a look at the odds right now in order of bettor's preference from the favorite on down. Prairie Bayou is the 5-2 favorite. Sea Hero is now the second choice at 7-2. Cherokee Run with good backing. Virginia Rapids the fourth pick. Kiss and Chris at 12-1. Colonial Affair held at odds of 13-1. The French import Aranthod at 14. Bull in the Heather at 18. Silver of Silver at 29-1. Raglan Road, the long shot, 45-1. Wild Gale at 49-1. Antrim Road at 55-1. And the longest shot in the field, Only Alpha at 75-1. El Bacan was scratched this morning. So we wind up another Triple Crown Series, Dave, and let's take a look at some of the horses, in particular the ones we have not seen along the way. And we'll start with Virginia Rapids, who loved this track a couple of weeks ago in the Peter Pan.
And this is the now horse for the hot stable of Alan Jerkins. Last win, very impressive.
He won the Peter Pan, was second in the Withers, and then breaking from the inside will be the speed horse, Cherokee Run. Now, here's a horse who won the Derby trial, skipped the Kentucky Derby, came back, and in Baltimore from the outside post finished second.
Now, few horses steal a race at this track, much less in the Belmont Stakes. But here's a horse with good early speed. He draws the rail. That makes him very dangerous.
We have grown accustomed to horses being imported for the Belmont. In the 1990 race, Go and Go came in from Ireland. Ron McAnally with his back to the Hall of Fame trainer. And Kent DeSormo will be riding Aranthod, number 9, who has come in from France. And it has to be a bit of a bittersweet feeling here. Francois Bouton, who is cancer-stricken, is the actual trainer of this horse.
And Aranthod is the biggest question mark in the field, but he has proven that he can carry the weight and go the distance.
Let's go to number 12 now. This is Silver of Silver. Pretty good as a 2-year-old, but has not won as a 3-year-old and was 8th in the Kentucky Derby.
He ran very well, though, at 2. He had physical problems over the winter in Florida, but what you do at 2, you can do at 3. If this horse puts it all together, he's a huge price. He could win this race.
Dave, number 14 is Wild Gale. We saw him last in the Preakness when he was 8th, but he was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby despite a tough trip.
And take a look at what luck can do. In the green cap, Wild Gale, just next to him, toward the inside, Jerry Bailey finds the hole and gets through and wins the Kentucky Derby, but Wild Gale had bad luck, still finished 3rd. Just think, without that luck, what could have happened?
What do you think of Mr. Consistency right there, Prairie Bayou?
5 wins in 7 starts. How can you fault him, Al? He just keeps running bullets. He's consistent, honest, well-trained, well-ridden.
Sea Hero has not been consistent, but when he's on, he's terrific.
Sea Hero, I think his Derby took a little bit out of him. I think he's back today. And he's my pick. I'll take Sea Hero. I think he's the best horse in the race. Who do you like in the race?
You are one smart hombre. We're going hand in hand to the window right now. I'm going with Sea Hero as well. There's the Belmont Trophy. Post time, 16 minutes away.
Fall. Well, we'll see. The odds on him have been coming down steadily ever since the rain began. Prairie Bayou, of course, still a very difficult horse to bet against. First or second, In all of his last 10 races, through Silver of Silver. Antrim Road there, the long shot. And Wild Gail, who was third in the Kentucky Derby, bringing up the rear as they head out in the rain. Steady, almost horizontal at times. Just about as miserable a day for a horse race as you could imagine. But they run them when they're scheduled. And that's the way it is. When they come out here, we'll be hearing Sidewalks of New York. That's the version here, of course, of My Old Kentucky Home, or Maryland, My Maryland, at the Derby and the Preakness, played by the Emory Davis Orchestra, we're told today. Well, that gives you an idea of what it's like. And here is Tom Durkin.
Horses are entering the track for the 125th running of the Belmont Stakes. And they do it to the sounds of Sidewalks of New York.
Julie Krone. Charlesy, we've been following some of these competitors since last March in Florida. It's been a long and rocky road, but we have other horses here today who are bright and fresh.
Well, the Triple Crown is a long, hard grind, and that's why the fresh horse always fares well in the Belmont. 8 of the last 14 Belmont winners did not run in the Kentucky Derby, and a perfect example of that one is Colonial Affair. He's made only 3 starts this year. This late developing Pleasant Colony colt was a sharp second in the Peter Pan, and he'll love this distance. Kissing Chris did run in the Derby, and he ran a decent race. Then he was freshened back home in Canada. He's a nervous sort of colt. He sometimes wears earmuffs to block crowd noise, and he's a late closer. Another stretch runner is Bull in the Heather, and he also skipped the Preakness, but he's better than the terrible race he ran in the Derby. He's bred to be at his best in this 1.5-mile distance, and he's going to like it a little wet, too. And Antrim Road is a newcomer making his first classic appearance. He won the Illinois Derby close to the pace, and he could press Cherokee Run early on.
Okay. Caught me with the glasses. It's time for the picks, I believe. No, you go first. You did pretty well in the Nassau County Handicap.
All right, I'll lay my skein on the line today. I think I like Virginia Rapids to pull an upset.
Well, I will take Paul Mellon to win his 3rd Belmont Stakes and his trainer, Mac Miller, to win his 1st with Sea Hero. He should like this surface very much.
He loves the weather.
Okay, well, now it's just about time for the post-parade. We might mention, though, that that's a custom that started in the Belmont Stakes here back in 1880. Before that, there was no such thing anywhere as a post-parade. Well, here is this year's. Number 1 is Cherokee Run. Lots of speed here. Didn't run in the Derby, but was second in the Preakness, one of the favorites. Number 2, Virginia Rapids, was patiently nursed through the spring by giant-killing trainer Alan Jerkins. Now he appears as a local favorite here after his recent win in the Peter Pan. Number 3, Kissin' Chris, not wearing the hood today, was second in the Arkansas Derby. A disappointment at Churchill Downs, may not be ready yet. Number 4, and here he comes, is Colonial Affair. Like Virginia Rapids, would like to join the likes of Coastal, Temperance Hill, Creme Fraiche, Go and Go, and AP Indy, who skipped the Derby and the Preakness to prepare for the Belmont and won. Number 5, the favorite, Prairie Bayou. What can you say except that he's the soul of consistency, the Preakness winner, second in the Derby, winner of 5 of his last 6, trying to join today the list of all-time great geldings. Number 6, Bull in the Heather, was one of the pre-Derby favorites, remember. He failed there, and in an allowance race on the grass here, he'll need a sudden turnaround. Likes this weather, though. Number 7 is the Maryland Invader, Raglan Road. He looked good winning the Sir Barton on Preakness Day at Pimlico. And today is the services of Lafitte Pinkai Jr., a 3-time winner of this race. El Bacan, number 8, has been scratched because of a fever. Number 9, Aaron Thott, has only a maiden win in France to recommend him. A victory today would not speak well for the American-based horses he's running against. Let's look at number 10, Only Alpha, carrying all the hopes of the West Coast this year. But his record, like Aaron thought, he is only a maiden win, does not recommend it. Number 11 is the Kentucky Derby winner, Sea Hero. Didn't like the track at Pimlico, was an easy winner of the Champagne Stakes, as we mentioned, here at Belmont last fall on a similar track to today's, and this is his home track. Number 12, Silver of Silver, has suffered through illness and injury this spring, but his connections feel he's worth one more try in the Classics, and hence his presence here today. Here is number 13, Antrim Road, who won the Illinois Derby at odds of 26-1 last month. Now his owner takes a shot, however, at the best in the country. And rounding out the field is number 14, Wild Gail. Don't forget that he comes from behind, so that outside post shouldn't bother him too much. Remember, too, that he was a fast closing third in the Kentucky Derby. So that's the field for the 125th running of the Belmont Stakes. On this Belmont Day, we think back 13 years to another Belmont. Another Belmont when the filly Genuine Risk had the best record of any filly in the Triple Crowns. First, second, and second. Just 3 weeks ago, at age 16, there was another chapter in that story.
They're in the final furlong. It's Genuine Risk, and she's genuine. Here comes Rumbo on the outside. Genuine Risk is going to win it. Genuine Risk by 1.
Here she was as the Derby winner. She went on to finish second in the Preakness and the Belmont. And just as the horses were taking to the track for this year's Preakness, Genuine Risk finally delivered her first live foal, a fine, healthy colt by the stallion Rahi. Congratulations, old girl.
The run, Speed Horse, inside post, 4-1. Virginia Rapids, Peter Pan winner, 9-2. Kiss and Chris is 13-1. Colonial Affair, Julie Krone up. No woman's ever won a Triple Crown race, 13-1. Prairie Bayou has been the favorite since we came on the air, holding steady at 5-2. Bull in the Heather is 19-1. Raglan Road is 50-1. The 8-horse scratched this morning. Each of the other horses maintains the same Saddlecroft number, but moves inside one post position. Aaron Thought is 14-1. Only Alpha at 80. Sea Hero has been steadily dropping. He is now 3-1. The clear second choice. Silver of Silver is 31-1. Antrim Road is 60-1, and Wild Gale, starting from the outside, is 50-1. Final leg in the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge. There they are, the only horses eligible for the bonus. If Prairie Bayou finishes in front of Sea Hero, Prairie Bayou takes home $1 million for Lob Lolly Stable. Once again joined by Steve Coffin. Steve, there's an old saying in horse racing, pace makes the race, and I guess never more so than at 1.5 miles. What's the strategy here?
Well, that's right, Al. You remember at the Preakness we were talking about how a contested pace sets up the race for the closers, and that's exactly what happened at Pimlico with Personal Hope, El Bacan, Cherokee Run, all pushing the pace. It set it up for Prairie Bayou to come through and win the race. But today, Personal Hope was not entered in the race, and El Bacan is a late scratch, and so, you know, Cherokee Run is really the only natural speed in this race. Now, his jockey, Chris Antley, is going to try and slow that pace right down, nurse him through this 1.5 miles. And the horses like Sea Hero and Prairie Bayou are going to have to stay much closer to the pace.
Antley getting them out, of course, because Pat Day was suspended and chose not to challenge that suspension. He'd, I'm sure, love to see 6 furlongs go by in about 1:13-1.
Exactly. That could win the race.
Pick the winner.
I'm going to go for Sea Hero because home track, and Jerry Bailey's in great form, and a little bit of rain, I think it's going to help him.
A little bit of rain is right. The track is now listed as good. Ron McAnally is a Hall of Fame trainer, and Ron is in effect kind of a deputy trainer here. And I guess, Ron, with Aaron Thod, your horse in this race, and Francois Bouton, your great friend, cancer-stricken in France, this has to be pretty bittersweet for you today.
Yes, it is, you know, and I'm just rooting for him all the way. Just a great guy. We've been friends for many years, and I hope he can overcome this. This is the biggest problem with his life, and I'm sure anybody's life, and I'm rooting for him, and I'll certainly be anxious to hear the results of the race when it's over.
Ron, your horse tries dirt for the first time. We haven't seen him, of course, in this country. Where do you expect him to be early on?
Well, I expect him to be well off the pace. He doesn't have that much speed, and of course over there, the horses just gallop the first part of it out, and then they run the last part of it. So hopefully he'll get up that last part of it. He had a very good work on the dirt the other day, and I was really pleased with it.
He sure did. Ron, good luck to you.
Thank you, Al.
Tom Bohannon is the trainer of Prairie Bayou, and here's a man who knows what it's...
The field loaded, and Bull in the Heather ready to move into line. Once around this magnificent ribbon of dirt racetrack. All of them carry 126 pounds. They are all 3-year-olds. Aaron Todd moving in now. I asked Jerry Bailey which of the Triple Crown races was the toughest to win, and he said the Belmont, because you had more time to make mistakes. He will be trying to duplicate that Kentucky Derby effort. He is being led to the gate right now by one of the assistant starters. Jerry Bailey, who's won 3 this afternoon already, looks for his 4th with the biggest race of the day. Crowd cheering. The track listed good. Silver of Silver is in. 2 left. Antrim Road with the blinkers and Richard Migliori, and Wild Gail with bad luck, who was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby, is in line. A gate full ready for the 3rd leg of racing's Triple Crown. Frank Calvarese will send them on their way, as he's been doing for 10 years. They're off in the Belmont Stakes, and Kiss and Chris on the outside, but now Cherokee Run. And Bull in the Heathers shows some early speed. Raglan Road is right there between horses. Sea Hero up close. Silver of Silver. Antrim Road on the extreme outside. Quick early speed. Antrim Road angles to the rail and takes the lead. And on the inside, that's Cherokee Run into 2nd position. And then a gap of 1.5 lengths, and Bull in the Heather is racing 3rd. On the inside, Colonial Affair squeezed back a bit as Raglan Road begins to move up. But back on the front end, it's Antrim Road with Richard Migliori showing the way by 2.5 lengths, and the horse we thought was going to be in front, Cherokee Run, holds the 2nd spot. Along the outside, there goes Wild Gail, who is moving up quickly. And Sea Hero is asked for some speed and quickly responds. He is now 4th along the inside and looking for some racing room. Down the backstretch, Antrim Road leads it. Wild Gail is 2nd, and now Bailey takes Sea Hero to the outside. And there has been a problem. Prairie Bayou has thrown the rider. Prairie Bayou is riderless on the backstretch. Looks like he has broken a foot. Anyway, they go to the far turn. Antrim Road leads it. And Cherokee Run on the outside is in the 2nd spot. And now there goes Silver of Silver, charging up 3rd in the green cap on the outside at the rail. That's Wild Gail as Sea Hero drops back, and Colonial Affair with Julie Krone starts a move out in the middle of the racetrack. As they're midway on the turn, Cherokee Run on the outside takes the lead. Antrim Road at the rail is 2nd. Along the outside, that's Silver of Silver. And Julie Krone now angles to the outside. From between horses, that's Wild Gail moving up. But now it's still Cherokee Run under a drive with Chris Antley in front. And now here comes Colonial Affair on the outside. At the rail, that's Wild Gail, followed by Silver of Silver. And now Colonial Affair with Julie Krone takes command and draws clear. It's Colonial Affair drawing clear in the Belmont with only a furlong to go. Colonial Affair leads it. Kiss and Chris with a late charge on the outside. Wild Gail at the rail and in the middle of the racetrack. Virginia Rapids, but in deep stretch, it's going to be Colonial Affair winning it by 2 lengths. Kiss and Chris 2nd, followed by Wild Gail 3rd. After that, it was Silver of Silver and Virginia Rapids. A marred Belmont Stakes in 2 minutes 29 and 4/5 seconds. The ambulance blinking on the backstretch. Prairie Bayou broke down apparently on the backstretch, but there's your winner, and it is the first time that a female rider has ever won a race of the Triple Crown Series. Colonial Affair. Mike Smith on the backstretch being taken into the ambulance, and of course Prairie Bayou, who went off the favorite at 5-2, lost all chance with trouble on the backstretch. The veterinarians are on their way right now. But it was Colonial Affair angling to the outside, was in some traffic problems, and now Sea Hero, it looks like, will win the $1 million bonus because he did finish. And there is Paul Mellon there on the right side of your screen. Mac Miller, the trainer of Sea Hero, who did not hit the board. The stewards have called for an inquiry, obviously because of problems on the backstretch. There is a Sea Hero who did finish the race, who will win the $1 million bonus, returning to the scales to weigh in. And there is your winner, Colonial Affair. Jim?
Well, Colonial Affair, the upset winner, but Julie Krone once again has become the first woman ever to win a Triple Crown race at age 29. Unofficially, she has ridden the winner of the Belmont Stakes, but remember that the inquiry sign has been posted. That means that the stewards themselves want to have a look at it, want to see what happened out there, no doubt in connection with the Prairie Bayou business. We're going to be getting an update as soon as we can on Prairie Bayou. There he is on the backstretch. But the woman of the moment is right there. 29-year-old Julie Krone. If you notice, by the way, that jockey Mike Smith was standing up on the backstretch, he appears to be okay. There he is. There he is. The rider of Prairie Bayou is okay. As the horse himself, we do not know. So Happy Little Julie heads for the winner's circle, unofficially.
Until now. Race, the ecstasy there, the agony of another breakdown. We had Union City, who had to be destroyed in the Preakness. Mike Smith jumped off Prairie Bayou. We attempted to get a word with Mike, but he has declined to be interviewed at the moment. Emotionally upset, but physically he appears to be all right. And as I'm joined by Dave Johnson, we have Prairie Bayou on the left here, isolated.
And it was well back in the pack. He's alongside Aranthod, the horse who had never raced on dirt. And they were moving down the backstretch. I don't believe there was any problem with any other horse earlier in this afternoon. Mike Smith bailed off. And, of course, Prairie Bayou lost all chance.
All right, we have no report yet as to the condition of Prairie Bayou. We will be getting that shortly. Meanwhile, in terms of the inquiry, we are being told that it has to do simply with the incident on the backstretch involving Prairie Bayou. That was the original inquiry, and now there has been just posted a jockey's objection. So the first inquiry was a formality. The second one we'll get the details of shortly as you watch Julie Krone take Colonial Affair 13-1 home.
The stewards call for inquiries when there's ever a problem like there was with Prairie Bayou. The inquiry now, the objection, is concerning the second horse, Kiss and Chris, which is now blinking. It's the third horse against the second horse. The rider of Wild Gail, Shane Sellers, has alleged interference against Kiss and Chris, who came from far back with Jose Santos to get the runner-up spot. But Julie Krone was out of trouble. She had the best horse this afternoon, trained by Scotty Schulhoff.
So even though the results are not official, they will not take down the winner. So the blanket of carnations adorning the winner, Colonial Affair, and let's check in with Charles C.
Well, it was ironical that Scotty Schulhofer had Sea Hero for Paul Mellon in Florida, and now Scotty Schulhofer winds up defeating Sea Hero here in the Belmont. It was a fresh horse who got the job done today. Jerry Bailey, the third Triple Crown race for Sea Hero. There was a point at which he moved up, and I thought he was really happy with his racetrack and would win.
Well, you know, Charles, usually you're worried if you have no horse. I was worried because I had too much horse going into the first turn. The position was fine with me, and he was in a good placement, but he was very rank, and he wasn't relaxing for me. And it concerned me a little bit. I didn't think he could get the entire mile and a half doing it that way.
And no traffic problems, though, other than that?
No, actually, no. I lost some ground in the first turn, but with the 11 post, I expected to. But if he'd have just settled, I could have tucked in and been all right. But those things happen.
All right, Jerry, thank you. All the rain didn't help Sea Hero today. Al?
No, he'll just confuse me.
All right, Charles C., let's get caught up on a couple of things here, because there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle, with the inquiry, with the jockey's objection, also the report on the breakdown of Prairie Bayou. A compound fracture of the left cannon bone is the information we are receiving right now. And as I'm joined by the track veterinarian, Dr. Tieglin, would you explain to me exactly in layman's terms what this is, and what about the horse, and will the horse have to be destroyed?
It is too early to interpret, but we don't have x-rays. The films will have to be taken. He's immobilized in a splint on the way back to the barn, but it is reported as a compound fracture, which can be palpated as such. That would be a serious injury.
So in cases like this, and I'm not asking you to necessarily speculate here, but you have seen a number of these types of injuries. It would normally mean that the horse would be destroyed.
It could be, but we have repaired some. We'll have to wait and get the results of the film.
All right, now when you say wait, how long will we have to wait before we know in this particular case?
Probably the next 20 minutes.
Okay, well, we will certainly hope for the best. And again, as we take a look at the isolated replay, a scene that unfortunately we have to see again. And Tom Bohannon, even though he is a long way away from the backside and is looking at the race without the use of binoculars, he knows that there is a problem. And that was his reaction. Meanwhile, the flashing 3, because of the jockey's objection, for the moment the 4 remains up there. There is no change now. The flashing 3 is now a permanent 3. The word official will come up in a second, and we will be seeing the prices very shortly. And Colonial Affair will have won the Belmont at odds of 13-1. So the results are official. Colonial Affair is the winner, pays $29.80, $14.80, and $9.40. Kiss and Chris finishes second, pays $11.20 and $7.20. Wild Gail, third in the Derby and now third in the Belmont, pays $14. The exacta, $463.60. And if you had the triple, baby, you're buying dinner tonight. $18,677. $229 and $4 over a track run. Finished 13 lanes back after helping to press the early pace. Sea Hero just never fired. 15 lanes back, winds up 7th. Bull in the Heather turns in a pretty dull effort, all things considered. Antrim Road was 9th. Raglan Road was 10th. Only Alpha, who was the longest shot in the field, 30 back. Aaron Todd, the French import, couldn't hack it on dirt. And, of course, the misfortune of Prairie Bayou. Mike Smith tells us he is fine physically, but he was just too emotionally upset to be interviewed at this particular point. Meanwhile, of all things, one of the stipulations in the Triple Crown Challenge is that a horse must start and finish all 3 races. So Prairie Bayou had the most points, but he didn't finish. The Sea Hero wins the $1 million bonus with 10 points, and Wild Gale finishes with 6. A jockey's race, of course, as we talked about at the outset, and in particular, 2 sides of the coin here. First, put yourself in the shoes right now of Mike Smith after a situation like that.
Well, there's probably not a worse moment for a jockey than to be standing by a stricken horse, particularly one that's just given him so much in the past. On the other hand, you know, what a great moment for Julie Krone.
Yes, you've known her for a long time, and to think about winning a Triple Crown race is incredible.
Well, she's wanted to do it for a long time, and she's finally got the big one now.
She got it today. Okay, let us go right now to Jim McKay.
Okay, and we are here with the winners, all of them here. Quite a crowd, and Mrs. Moran over there, who owned Creme Fraiche, the only gelding to ever win this race. The spokesman on this occasion, however, is Donald Little. And to talk to him, here is Alan Dragone, the chairman of the board of the New York Racing Association. Alan, you're on.
Thank you. John, congratulations on winning the 125th Belmont Stakes. It's my privilege to give to you the replica of the August Belmont Memorial Trophy. And your horse win a fantastic race. Your trainer did a superb job. And be with us a lot, I hope.
Well, we sure had a heck of a day today. There's no rain here in New York. The sun is shining. But I just want to say that Steve Carr and Paula Parsons and Scotty Schuhofer, Julie Krone, they're the people who really handle this for us. They did a fabulous job. And all the people we have that participated in this little partnership that we put together, it's been great fun, and we've had a great day today. And the sun is shining in the Big Apple.
Again, congratulations to all of you, and to Scotty Schulhofer, whom we'll have a word with, I think, in a minute, winning his first Belmont after his long, long career. Congratulations to Scotty. Of course, we'll be talking to Julie Krone, the first woman ever to win a Triple Crown race, also when we come back. And we'll look at the race again with her.
A couple of old